Hello and welcome to the 42 headquarters, where we're coming to you live in association with Avonmore Protein Milk to launch our Follow Fitness campaign. Over the next 12 weeks we're going to bring you 3 very different fitness journeys and follow them along the way as we bring you a new kind of fitness content on the 42 with some diary style columns as we give you, the reader, the best insights and knowledge into all things fitness and nutrition. Have you ever wondered what the transition from a professional sports person into an amateur athlete is like? Have you ever wondered how a sports person who plays at the highest level in 2 different sports, as well as studying for her leaving cert, manages to cope with all those different things? Or have you ever wondered how an amateur athlete trains for his first full triathlon? If you answered yes to any of those questions or are just interested in following our journeys, we're delighted to introduce our Follow Fitness series. Now, without further ado, let's introduce you to the first of our 3 leaders, former Munster rugby player and now a nutrition consultant, Jonny Holland, who joined us on the line from Cork. Now, Jonny, thanks a million for joining us.
No problem.
I mean, you've come on board as one of our leaders, and we're delighted to have you, obviously, because of the credentials I've just mentioned there. Since you've had to retire from professional rugby, you've gone down a different career route. As I said, now a nutrition consultant. I mean, can you kind of just talk to us about your new career? You launched your new business in January and how it's going so far.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a whirlwind now so far, but yeah, like it was always something I was interested in, so I didn't know if I was going to be launching a business or what I was going to be doing, but I knew I'd be working something to do with sport at some stage, and nutrition specifically, because it was something I was massively interested in. And I was doing it in my spare time anyway. I needed to get more qualified, and I did do that. So yeah, I'm kind of a lot happier now when I'm working in nutrition, and it's something that, like, you get to work with sports people, and it's something my background helps with that, so it's kind of something that, it's not like running a business isn't something, it's just you're working on nutrition all the time. There's other parts of that which is probably harder than the nutrition work itself, but I'm enjoying the challenge of it anyway, and it's keeping me busy. Yeah,
sure. You touched on it there that often when you talk to rugby players, most of them do enjoy the gym side of things and keeping on top of their nutrition, but others don't. They kind of see it as something that they have to do rather than they want to do. You're obviously completely different, because you obviously wanted to pursue that when you left rugby, professional rugby itself. You enjoyed it, I presume, when you were a professional player and in that environment with Munster.
Yeah, like the first thing we did every morning was go to the gym. On the days where you had full squad sessions, you had a gym session as well, and it just it seems a bit weird now to me that, like, first thing I do in the morning now is go to the gym as well, but I don't get paid for it now. So it was you didn't even realise at times that you were kind of living a dream that not everyone gets to do it. Like, and exercising for most people is getting up before work and having to do it after work and play with clubs. My brother does it, and I don't know how, like, the Cork Con lads do it that I train. They go training after a long day of work, and they put in some effort to it. Like, it's very physical and it's very demanding, and it's a very hard thing to do. So I suppose when we were playing, it was all like you were being paid to do that part of it as well. So we were very lucky, and you don't realise that until you come into the game as much, I think. And I am really interested in exercise, and I kind of have to stop myself at some stages getting too into it, because it shouldn't be my priority, even though, like, health and wellness is up there on my priorities, and I do enjoy it. But I have to get on with life as well, and I could train all day and all night for it, but you have to kind of that's probably why I do it first thing in the morning, get it out of my system and get on with my day, because otherwise I'd be thinking about it all day. So I do enjoy it, and I know some fellas like the freedom of not having to exercise anymore, but it's something that I just have to tick the box and get on with, and then get at the rest of my day.
Yeah, I'm sure many people will know your story and the fact that you were forced to retire from professional rugby at 25 on medical grounds. Have you been able to use, you kind of touched on it there, have you been able to use all your experiences, coming through the Munster Academy and then with the Munster senior squad in the gym, working with performance analysts, strength and conditioning coaches? Have you been able to then apply that into your own business and your own coaching then with different people from all strands of life?
Yeah, 100%. Like, it's a very direct one for me a lot of the time, because you are dealing with sports people and with nutrition a lot, and I dealt with very good dietitians, and they were a lot more qualified than I am now, so I'm still learning from them and still in touch with them as well. So I'm still getting that side of it, but at the same time you have to have a kind of a rounded view on sport and exercise in general. So I dealt with a lot of very good strength and conditioning coaches, and I kind of picked their brain a lot. I would erect their head a lot of the time and kind of trying to find out as much as I could while I was playing. But I did a job as well for the last year working with a therapeutics company in Little Island, Salverton Therapeutics, and I worked on an iron supplement. So that kind of stood to me a lot as well, because I had to get into the detail of micronutrients and what interferes with other micronutrients, and a lot of detail in there that, you know, for the whole year that I was working there, I wasn't learning all the time, but I picked up a lot. And I kind of picked up how to go to work and how to exercise before or after work, and the very kind of day-to-day stuff as well. So I think in the last year or two that I have been out of the sport, I've used a lot of my experiences to kind of help people along with their own lives as well. Not that I'm an expert in it, but I've going through an academy structure like that, and even the underage, like I probably did lead a very different life to some of my friends when I was 16, 17, 18, like, and I didn't have to do that. Not everybody did it my way, but that's the way I dealt with it. And I think you pick up a lot of kind of lifestyle habits, and you go through an academy that teaches you that kind of stuff, how to organise yourself so you're going to college while playing full-time rugby. Like, there's not enough hours in the day for that sometimes, but having to deal with kind of two different areas of your life, I think it's second nature to me now, and I'm always running around, and I've always a few things on my mind, like, but it's something that I kind of just get on with and deal with, because I have the background in that as well,
Yeah, sure. We'll touch on the Follow Fitness series next, but just quickly on, you've spoken there about the kind of transition into kind of everyday professional life for you after retiring from rugby. It seems to be going quite well for you, because players, particularly who are forced to retire and have their career cut short, might find it difficult then to go and find a new kind of direction in their life, but you kind of seem to have coped with it well, I suppose.
Yeah, that's what people would say to me, like, but I think you deal with your own stuff internally a lot of the time, and people don't see the whole picture. But I would like to think that over the last 2 years I've dealt with it quite well, and I've dealt with it maturely. But that doesn't mean that I'm not dealing with a lot of things in my own mind, and that's the way I am. Like, I like to deal with things myself and not burden anybody else. So people come up to me and say, "Geez, your face is everywhere. You're doing talks everywhere. It looks like it's going very well for you." And I can't complain. Like, I'm not long up and running. It is going well, but some ex-pro players would have said to me that it takes a lot of months for you to even realise you're out of the game and stop thinking about it. And I'm still thinking about it. I still watch matches and think, geez, I'd still love to be there. Like, and it's not something that's very easy to take, but I think you have to just get on and deal with it. Otherwise, you're not gonna really thrive, and you're gonna waste some years in your life. Like, I'm not into wasting my time now and kind of waiting till I'm 30 to kind of realise, geez, I have to get going again. Like, so. I've tried to deal with it as best I can. I don't know if there's any one way to do it, but I'm doing it my way, and I think it's going alright so far.
Yeah. And on this series with Avonmore Protein Milk, what can people kind of expect over the next 12 weeks? Your first column goes on the 42 in the next couple of days. You touch on kind of your upbringing and how your house was sports mad, and your journey into professional rugby. But what can kind of people expect from your columns, and what advice can they expect, I suppose, over the next 12 weeks if they're following your journey?
Yeah, so I suppose it'll be very everyday nutritional stuff, but a lot of nutrition for sport, how to fuel your matches, how to fuel and recover from training, and just general nutrition guidelines to stay healthy while you're doing that, how to recovery from injury. So there's a lot of different angles that I would take, even just within sport. So hopefully people can get something from it, and it won't be at a professional level. Maybe you can take from it what you want. Like, it can get as complicated as you want, but I think people overcomplicate nutrition and timing and type of food at different stages, like, and it's a lot simpler than what people think it has to be until you're going to those very optimal stages of being a professional player or being, completely shredded in the gym. But I think a lot of, like, 80% of people won't get there and don't need to get there, so it'll be hopefully simplifying it for people as well. Yeah,
I know you'll take questions from readers as we go on during the 12 weeks, but just to finish up, I suppose, it's probably a difficult question to answer, but what's kind of the one tip or one question that you get or you see over the last kind of 2 years since you've kind of retired from rugby and gone into this industry? What's the kind of thing that you see, maybe the biggest mistake, the biggest tip that you'd have for people?
I think people kind of go too hard at it too soon, and you can't sustain that. So, like, sustainability is a big thing for me, and consistency, and there's no point in going like 100% for 2 weeks and then going at 40% for 2 weeks. It's just a restrict and binge kind of cycle. There's different times in your life where you just there's a couple of events going on, and other times where you can kind of refrain from those as well. So, but I think finding the balance between the whole thing is key. Like, people think they have to go to the gym from 0 to 5 times all of a sudden, or they have to go from not really eating well to just sticking to one plan that's very, very restrictive for 3 or 4 weeks before they lose interest in it and go off again. So it's just kind of picking up habits day to day and week to week. You know, I do nutritional plans for people as well, and some people just want that and to be told what to do. But I think like improving from week to week is the key to it, and finding something that you can stick to as opposed to something that someone else can stick to. It's very individual, and you need to find your own way.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll cover all that in great detail over the next 12 weeks. Jonny, thanks a million for joining us. We look forward to working with you and getting all your tips and advice throughout this series.
Thanks very much. Looking forward to it.
So there's Jonny Holland, the first of our leaders for this Follow Fitness series in association with Avonmore Protein Milk. We'll meet our third leader in a minute, but the second leader is actually myself. And Jonny's talked about the kind of transitioning from a professional sports person into the kind of working with amateurs. And obviously, as a sports writer myself, I'm an amateur athlete. I did my first marathon last year. This time last year, I would have been kind of convinced into doing it, and this year, you kind of seek a new challenge in it. You want to kind of, you can run a marathon, you know they're your boundaries, and you want to push those, and you seek a new challenge. So when this series came up, we kind of had to think about it and what I could do to kind of challenge those and bring you along this journey with me as well. So my challenge and my goal after the end of this 12-week journey, this Follow Fitness journey, is to do a full first triathlon. Obviously I know I can do the running discipline of it, having done the marathon last year. But now it's about going into a completely different challenge and seeking more and going, again, pushing yourself outside of the comfort zone. So a bit of context, I suppose, to add to what Jonny was saying. I am obviously an amateur athlete, so hopefully along the 12-week journey I'll be able to bring you along is how we kind of balance training and the 3 different disciplines, obviously running, cycling and swimming, and how we balance the training for those and get it right with work life and social life as well. So hopefully we'll be able to give you kind of some insight, and obviously I'm not an expert at all. It's just going to be all my own experiences and kind of using what I learned last year for training for the marathon and applying that into this kind of new challenge, and seeing how it goes really, and taking the advice that Jonny is going to hopefully give over the next 12 weeks in terms of nutrition, and as he was talking about their nutrition plans, and applying those into my own training. And that's kind of the aim of this series. Obviously Jonny was a professional athlete, and he's working with high profile sports people now. We mentioned Cork Con there, but we're very much the amateur athlete, and that's kind of what we're aiming for here. We're trying to make it accessible for everyone and answer all your questions, I suppose, and give everyone the best advice we can. So that's my kind of challenge at the end of this 12 weeks, is to do a full distance triathlon, which is going to be a fairly daunting task, but once you commit to it, you have to go for it, and that's what we're kind of looking forward to. So hopefully it goes well, and you can follow, as I said, that journey along with us over the next kind of 12 weeks or so. Now, without further ado, we'll introduce our third leader for this Follow Fitness series. She's a multi-talented sports person. As I said at the top of the show, she's also studying for a Leaving Cert, which makes her achievements on the sporting pitch over the last couple of seasons all the more remarkable. She's an Ireland international and Cork ladies footballer, and she is, of course, Saoirse Noonan, and she joined us now on the line live from Cork. Saoirse, thanks a million for joining us. Your daily routine is fairly hectic, and for most of us, it's a struggle to kind of fit in our training and get our diet on point. Whereas for you, you've got so many different things going on. I mean, how do you kind of juggle everything between school and training?
Well, my parents obviously are a big help to me with meals, especially throughout the day. I'm sponsored by Body Chef, one of my sponsors. So in the last year, they've come on board, and they prepare my meals each week. So with school, it's only 3 minutes into the microwave and it's ready for you, and it's all good food. So that's benefited me. My managers as well are very understanding that school is important, and then the other side of it, the teachers always give like extra help when I miss classes from being away with the Irish team and stuff. So to be fair, everyone's been very good for me, and I'm very lucky that way. So yeah. Sure.
If we just kind of look at your typical day in the life of Saoirse Noonan, I mean, you've obviously got school, but can you kind of talk us through what time you get up at and how you fit all your training in around it?
Yeah, a normal day for me I get up at 7:30. I'd have my breakfast at about 7:45. I go to school at 8. then I have my school day until 3:30. I get home at about 4 and I would do my study or my homework till about 6, and I'd go to training then from 6:30 where we have a meeting till 7, and then about 9 I get home. I'd have my dinner. Usually I'd have my dinner at like maybe 4 or 5 after school, or some days if I wasn't home and I was in after school study, I'd have something small to eat when I come home, or maybe on the way to training like a fulfill bar or something. And then I'd come home, shower, and into bed I'd hope to get into bed about 10:30, 11 o'clock to try to get a good night's sleep. But that doesn't always happen, so yeah, that'll be my day nearly every day of the week, 5 days a week.
Sure, and is it physically and mentally draining? Like, are you kind of going to bed each night and you're wrecked, or is it kind of just got to a stage where you're now used to it and you're kind of just settled in that routine?
Yeah, weekly I'm kind of used to, I think, getting up, but obviously still every morning getting up is a struggle, but I'm kind of used to it, the training schedule and all. But there is, after them weekdays and weekends, when you have a tough game and you come to the Monday morning, you have to get out of bed to start the whole week again, that's a struggle, but I enjoy it and I think I look forward to something every day, so that's why I get up every day, I suppose.
Yeah, sure. You mentioned obviously, games is obviously what you train for and what you do it for. Is there any kind of aspects of training that you don't like, or is there any particular ones that you do like?
Yeah, I think most people would know that I'm more a technical player than a runner, or I suppose an athlete. And the girls would laugh at me for saying this, but the running, like, I hate running without football. I would rather do football. 12-minute run, like, is just my enemy. So yeah, that'd be my hatred. But yeah, I just love playing the game, so I'd rather go out and play 90 minutes match than do a 10-minute run any day of the week.
Sure. You mentioned at the start there that obviously, it's all this can happen because the help of your parents and your managers are both very understanding. So it requires a team effort.
Yeah, without one person involved helping me out, I don't think I'd be anywhere I am today. From my dad bringing me every single country in the world, every single county in Ireland, week in, week out for trainings, different reasons, matches, and then for my mom just doing everything else, basically making sure my gear's ready, my boots are ready. I don't think I'd be able to do any of it, to be honest, without them, so they're probably the major part of my role. And then I have my brother and sister as well, who are so supportive. So yeah, I think everyone coming together and helping me out is, obviously, I'm so grateful for it, and I don't think I'd be where I am, definitely not. Yeah,
sure. You mentioned diet at the start, just to kind of focus on that for a bit, because obviously Avonmore, part of this campaign, is a huge part of it, and diet, and Jonny Holland is on board as well. And I mean, how do you kind of sustain that in school? Because for the best of us as well, whether in work or just out and about in general after training, before training, it's kind of hard to, a lot of preparation, organisation involved. So how do you kind of make sure that that's constantly on point?
Yeah, well, weekends I'd kind of prepare for my week ahead and kind of seeing what I have to do when I have to get my meals in. And I suppose every day is kind of the same. I'd eat the same hours every day, try to stick to a routine. Because when you're in a routine, your body just sticks with it and it knows what it's doing and it knows when it needs food, whatever. So yeah, I suppose I prepare my meals on a Sunday for the week ahead, and then a Wednesday I have a half day in school, so it's kind of convenient for me to prepare my meals again on a Wednesday evening from Thursday and Friday carrying on. So that's why I do it. And when I get up in the mornings, my mom would make my breakfast to make it that bit easier for me, and she'd have my dinner on the table when I come home at night. So yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned there that stick to routine, make sure that the kind of the body is used to it. So what would kind of be your typical day in terms of eating? What would you have for breakfast and as you go on through the day?
Yeah, I try to stick to the same type of thing. Like, I wouldn't be varying off different ways, having different breakfasts every morning. Like, usually I'd get up and I'd have a bowl of porridge or else a poached egg every morning. I'd then go to school, and for my small break I'd have a yogurt and an apple and an orange, and then for my big break, which I'd kind of call my dinner, I'd have veg, like broccoli usually, with a bit of chicken. And then in the evening, if I was a bit picky, I'd have just another bit of fruit, and then for my dinner I'd have whatever my mum makes usually, which would be usually veg again, roast potatoes and chicken, steak, and like that, just to get my protein in. Yeah. That'll be usually what I eat nearly every single day of the week.
Yeah, sure. You mentioned school there, and obviously, getting in a big meal throughout the day. How have you kind of found it in that kind of school environment? Do you have the kind of the facilities there to let you eat healthily and get in the right kind of food that you need to during that school time?
Yeah, I think schools are realising more that nutrition is so important in our lifestyles. And they're bringing it way more into our school. I would never be a person to go to the canteen or buy my lunch before, and I used to never want to, but I've seen that like even in there they've brought in healthier foods, and I still prefer bringing my own food, but they're very convenient. Like we have microwaves, hot water, like whatever you need they really provide, so which is very helpful, to be fair. So yeah.
Yeah, and just final question on diet, is there anything that you kind of stick to post-match or post-training?
Yeah, I'd usually have chicken would be my main. I'd have chicken with maybe in a pita bread or a wrap or something for carbs before a match, or pasta or something like that.
Yeah, and just finally, Saoirse, I mean, you know, this campaign is obviously all about, you know, a healthy lifestyle and tips for everyone, and you're obviously sustaining a hugely, you know, 2 sporting careers and then school on top of that, but kind of any tips for anyone kind of everyday life trying to, you know, who's leading a busy lifestyle, because a lot of the excuses are that we just don't have time, whether it's preparing food or getting to training or whatever it is. So is there any kind of time management tips or anything that you've kind of picked up along the way?
Yeah, well, I think some people firstly think that, like, oh, if you are on a healthy, balanced diet, that you can't have any cheat meals or you can't have a bit of chocolate here and there, which I disagree with, because I think we're all allowed to have a square of chocolate once a week or whatever, which we all do. And yeah, it's hard to get time to prepare our meals, but what I would do is, if you cook, like, you don't have to do anything major, you don't have to make anything spectacular 5-star meals, simple meals that you enjoy eating. Like, you don't have to force feed yourself. Like, I wouldn't be someone to eat a lot of fish, so I wouldn't make a lot of fish because I know I don't enjoy it. So I enjoy cooking, so I think that makes it a bit easier as well. But yeah, I think people get more, if you start making your own foods, you get more satisfaction out of it, and you start feeling better in yourself when you're eating healthier foods.
Sure. And how does the study keep up throughout this all?
Yeah, I think I've kind of came into a routine. I think it's all about routine. After school, if I didn't come home and go straight into doing my homework and doing my study, then it would never be done. So that's basically one of my factors, that it has to be do it there and then. I can't wait for something to happen, and because otherwise it'll never happen, because the day will be gone. So I think I just try come home, get my bit done, and then go to training, and I think that's just what I aim to do every day.
And that was Saoirse Noonan, our third and final leader in this Avonmore Protein Milk Follow Fitness series. Thanks for joining us today on Facebook Live. We've kind of given you a brief overview of what you can kind of expect over the next 12 weeks. Just to kind of briefly recap, we're going to bring you 3 very different fitness journeys, as we heard from Jonny Holland, Saoirse Noonan and myself, over the next 12 weeks, as I said, as we bring you a new kind of fitness content on the 42, bringing you along these journeys with diary style columns, and hopefully we can give you some advice, insight and expertise along the way to help you on whatever your goal or fitness challenge is, I suppose, this summer. So thanks for joining us. Hope you can join us throughout the course of the campaign, and we look forward to bringing you more fitness content here in the 42. Thanks for joining us.